First of all, I want to tell y'all that I'm Hans the Artist, and this is June 18th, 2020, Thursday. It's like, it must be right, it's 2 a.m. Let me get this in focus. There it goes. Okay, y'all. So, what I need y'all to know is that I'm down with it. Like, I'm down with rocking the boat. I'm down with riots. I'm down with all that shit. But I need y'all to know this right now. Think about why y'all are doing it. You're all doing it to try to create change, to try to wake the world up to what's going on, and I'm down with that. The goal is the same, but there's no amount of rioting that can accomplish that goal, because it's a setup from day one. Like, when any of the people like us when the system predicts that they will blah blah or be a threat, then the system will take them out. And that's what you don't understand, or that's what a lot of people understand but can't prove, because the system now is set up to take people out, always in a manner that looks like they're not being taken out, that looks like they took themselves out or brought it upon themselves. Fucking Hendrix, Lenin. I mean, like, fuck, I lost it. What I'm trying to say is that I know the way, and I may be the only one. And that's what I keep thinking, that's what I keep realizing, is I may be the only one that has figured this out. And, I mean, I'm not saying I've figured everything out. I'm not saying I've figured life, society, philosophy, psychology. But you gotta realize, like, I've spent a lot of time not working physically and not working mentally, and just contemplating why things are the way they are and what would have made them the way they are. Because, I mean, you can ask anybody that's ever known me. Ever since I was little, I've always said I want to change the fucking world. The world's fucked up. And so I guess that's part of why I figured it out. It took years of thinking, but I figured out how you could make the system fall. The system would fall if people refused to be tracked and identified by numbers. See, it's the money that's the problem. It's money being the cage, being the leash. We don't need a fucking leash. Like, everybody is capable of fucking doing their shit. Even people that, I mean, shit, look at me. I fucking was, like, selling shit for a long time, making enough money to pay for myself off selling shit to, like, try to support myself, and then literally decided to stop. because I wanted to get my shit together and actually become successful and dedicate myself to art. But the entire fucking society and the entire world was like, don't you dare. Don't you fucking dare stop. You've gotta be a part of society in some way, form, or fashion. We've gotta all be connected, and we've gotta have on paper what you do and have it all record. Okay? Well, see, that's the problem. That's really what's going on right now, is there's a second system that has been created. Like, we had the original system, the governmental system of laws and courts and whatnot, to try to make sure that the truth is always known, which is fucking bullshit. But, like, now we have two systems. We have the computer system, and we have the old system. Like, it's so much redundancy in it. And they've slowly been trying to get rid of redundancy over the past, like, 5-6 years by they're slowly getting rid of all the old shit. And I saw it a while back. That's why, if you've come over to my house in the past couple of years, like, you've seen, like, I don't have the new shit. I don't be buying the new shit. The newest computer I have modified so many files on the OS that it's basically an old Mac. Like, and the Mac that I make all my music on, that I make any kind of art that I don't want connected to the system until it's time to drop it, is on a 2007 iMac from 2007. It's old as fuck. I got off eBay for like $150 in 2012 actually, after that one other Mac got stolen by a white person. I'm saying that because I already know, with the way people are in America, you're sitting there thinking, it's because Hans has got dreads, because Hans is in the gutter. Hans likes to hang out with these types of people, and these types of people are bad. See, that's the problem. The entire fucking world has trained you to believe that you should be scared of other people. They've trained you to believe that man is a beast, and if not properly ordered and controlled, will rip you to shreds. And that's some bullshit. I've known this. When I went across my trip, when I went on my trip all the way across the country, just driving around from place to place to place, talking to people, random ass people saying I would pull up and just stop on the side of the road next to random ass people and run on the window and just talk to them. And then, like, there were so many different people that I met, like, that, just random people that I met along the way and whatnot, different places and shit. And, like, it's the same everywhere, throughout this, from fucking coast to coast. Like, it's just people asleep. It's just people hypnotized. Like, people are sitting here, like, basically, like, today, for the first time since, like, the beginning of June, when all this shit started, and I got the news from NOAA up in Seattle that shit was going down, like, I, like, turned off my phone and like, or not even turned off my phone, but just stopped checking it, like, basically went AWOL, because the past 14 days I haven't been sleeping, eating. I've been mixing these videos so that, like, I could get the album out, so blah blah blah, because I coded some shit in that. Y'all are gonna find it, and I may be dead before y'all find it, but it's the key. And I'm gonna show y'all it too. It may take you, if you're still asleep, you might not even know you're asleep. It may take you a while to see what I'm doing. But once you realize it, you'll realize it's the way. And then you can start doing it too. And if you start doing it, and all y'all start doing it, and all of us start doing it, then they can't control us anymore. Then the system will crumble into dust. Because that's what it really is. invisible dust that doesn't really exist except for in our minds. See, I'm not talking about tripping. I'm not talking about taking a drug. What I'm talking about is thinking. What I'm talking about is deciding to refuse and reject the system as a whole, because the system is flawed. And also, it was created, the system we live in was created a majority by the Nazis, and they set it all up. And literally, we are living in Hitler's perfect world, or almost Hitler's perfect world right now, if y'all didn't fucking realize it. Like, Hitler's whole plan from way back in the day was to make a world where you could have psychiatrists throughout the world giving drugs to certain people that are identified with schizophrenic traits and epileptic traits and whatnot, and all that shit, and any people that are like a little bit retarded, or any people that they think would take away from the natural order of efficient work, because that's what civilization is all about. Go to work, go home and relax, and then go to work. You separate work from play. See, that's the problem with the system, is that you've been trained to keep everything private, keep your entire life here, and then the world is out there. See, that's the problem. Like, because of privacy laws, they can kill people. People can put up videos of them killing people, and then legally, the videos have to be taken down by the company that runs the website, because they can file privacy law violation suits because they didn't consent to them being recorded. And see, that's the problem with privacy laws. Privacy is a luxury, and it's why do we have it? Why do we need it? I say toss it to the wind. Like, everything's being recorded on cameras and microphones, and literally the entire system is mapped out in 3D models now. Entire fucking planet. So, and it's all on servers and computers, like, with algorithms running that are predicting behavior. So, what's basically happening, and what's been happening since the end of World War II, or the beginning of Hitler's world, has been the Holocaust. Because the Holocaust never ended. That's the thing they don't realize, is that they think the Nazis did this bad shit, the Americans were like, we're gonna stop them, blah, blah. But the Nazis had figured out something that nobody else in the world had figured out at the time. Sarin. When you take a very small drop in the skin, take a pin, ballpoint pen. It's invisible, odorless, tasteless. Even says online that when people were exposed to non-lethal doses, that it was the type of drug that you could be exposed to and not realize you've been drugged. And also, nobody really put this together. That's the thing. That's why I saw it and not a lot of people didn't, because a lot of people are like, they click from thing to thing to thing. And I used to do it a lot too. I learned a lot that way. But clicking from thing to thing to thing is just absorbing information. And when you're absorbing information, you're not processing information, thinking about the information. And see, like, I think about things now. I get these theories in my mind. And, when I thought about that and I was reading about this Aaron, I already had a theory. I already had a theory of the fluoride gas. And I don't know where I heard it. It must have been trickled down from people to people. And I must have just heard it somewhere when I wasn't paying attention. But I heard it somewhere. And fucking, it seeped in. That they didn't, like, just kill people in the gas chambers. Like, it wasn't like an extermination place. I'm not saying they didn't kill people. Yes, they killed people, of course. And they disposed of bodies and whatnot to destroy any evidence of things they had been doing. What I'm saying is that it wasn't just like, we're gonna kill all these people for no reason. Or because we want to eliminate them from society. You know? Like, see, they had already done that before the Holocaust. If you do your research, 5 years before World War II even started, they rounded up like 100,000 artists and people with epilepsy and retarded people like me, people that like couldn't keep it together to live in the system and support themselves and whatnot and be a regular person. Well, see, back in the day, before the system had become so organized to be so efficient and to maintain itself so that it couldn't fall, when the system wasn't so strong that it couldn't fall, like, and it would fall and rebirth and fall and rebirth, it wasn't like this for artists. Think about a lot of the great artists, you know? Like, it was commonly known back in the day and accepted that most artists have a person that is together that, like, they just stay with. Because since artists are always creating the art, they don't have time to create the life and the house and all the shit. And like, we can't think, like, that's the thing that everybody's, okay, it's just like you can program a little, like, phone to do different things, or any piece of electronics to do different things. You can program yourself to get on different spectrums, and everybody's on a different spectrum, and it's combinations between many different variables. They wished, the fucking people way back in the day wished that it was something that, you want to know what's really happening right now? If you want to know what's really happening, right, is, imagine that you're an artist, and you're working in a project making art, okay, and then you decide, like, okay, I'm gonna put this effect on this part of it, or I'm gonna change this, and you do it, and then, basically, you realize, I shouldn't have done that, that was not right, that's more blurry now, so I should take that off. But you don't have an undo button. This is like before the undo button was ever made. And so, that means that the only way you could ever undo it is if it was good enough art and you really needed to undo it because you couldn't make it again like that, or whatever. Like, there's no way you could make it the same. You rebuild it the same. Start from scratch, so you needed to fix it. So what you'd have to do is program an undo button into the software or something if you didn't have one yet. If there had never been an undo button made yet, you'd have to program that in. Make an undo button. That's what they're trying to do. They've been trying to do it since World War II. Since Hitler. They've been trying to make an undo button. For what? I'll tell you what. Back in the day, all modern humans came up to Europe, where the Neanderthals were. And, small amounts of other types of humans and whatnot. Now, when I say back in the day, I mean way back in the day. Way back in the day. It's actually recent discoveries that they realized, recent in the past, 50 years, that they realized that, the all modern humans, that means, the people that back way 10,000 years ago looked like people that look like today, and were genetically closest to the people that most people on the planet are today. So, that's my theory, is all modern humans are the vibers. People with more all modern human DNA are people that are, completely in the vibe. 100% in the vibe. And the people with more Neanderthal DNA, and granted, every single decision in life, you're reprogramming your DNA. So, you could start out with 100% programming to this and end up, the complete opposite. So, that's the thing. They're trying to rewrite the genetics of humanity. The Neanderthals, think about it. Europe was a smaller continent, isolated, more people packed in. But the all modern humans were living in vast the Middle East and Africa and all of Asia and all over here. So there was way less of them together. They were more nomadic, spread out, going from place to place, gypsies, per se. Now, in Europe, the way shit is, and the way shit was back then, the people were higher population because it was a smaller, concentrated area. And so, that's probably why, people that are more like Neanderthal DNA are they have a aptness for social thinking and thinking about social structures. Shit, holy shit. I just realized that's me. That's probably how I can think about it so good. That's why all the fucking people with the conspiracy theories are white people that have been tripping and old white people or whatever. It's probably people with the Neanderthal DNA that can get through the thing. But what I'm trying to say is that okay, none of it's bad. Genetics aren't bad. There's no such thing as a bad gene. That's the problem in the way of thinking. See, Hitler was trying to figure out how to purify the world. And people are satisfied today with believing that he was just doing a cold sterilization, and he was just going to try to kill everybody that he didn't like or want to be in the world. But see, before World War II, they killed 100,000 people that were schizophrenic and people with epilepsy / degenerate artists. That's the thing. They all fit into the same category. Because the identifiers for these type of people are the identifiers for really hippie people today. The identifiers for these people are the identifiers for the type of people that get thrown in prison today. The identifiers for this shit is you know what it is. Okay? It's not race. It's not this. It has to do with the way you act, the way you think. I'm not saying it has to do with being violent. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Anyway, I believe what happened is that, I mean, overall, what led to Hitler is that the Neanderthals, see, okay, all modern humans were nomadic, so they would go on long journeys, where the Neanderthals would stay put in one location, and like they had a lot of fucking people packed in, so they were always like warring with each other's, and tribes were always like taking over shit, and power structures were always like forming and falling apart. Governments, basically the smallest beginnings of governments and shit. And I mean, there was shit at other places too, in different parts of the world, but like they have records of bones and whatnot proving that all modern humans, like there were okay, female all modern human bones were found buried with Neanderthal families, bone piles and shit in Europe and whatnot that were old, like 10,000 years old type shit. And the hmm. So, oh, yeah, it said, like, because I read a lot of fucking long archaeological studies and shit, and, but you gotta realize, like, I don't really, like, read, like, theories or shit. I just read about, like, what the people actually found, like, the facts. I kind of, like, filter out, because, like, so much of what people publish and shit is just, like, some cockeyed bullshit. And, I mean, that's why I'm giving it to you straight up. This is all cockeyed bullshit. Everything. Not one bit of it is a lick of shit. Because nobody can think. Not even me. If you think you can think, you're already trapped. But I think probably, maybe, possibly, might have happened based on what they found is that, like, okay, I think the Neanderthals, because it just makes sense that if people were more packed in or whatever, they would be more, because it's just like in cities today, like people are more, like in cities, people are more consciously aware of different shit. Like, think about it. People in like the fucking out in the south and shit, they're like fucking sheep. You know what I'm saying? People in fucking certain states just leave their doors unlocked. I mean, it's like that. Like, shit is so spread out and shit is so, people are so satisfied that, like, and spaced away from each other that, like, they don't think, they just operate. And then in the cities, people, you can't not think. Because there's so many people thinking and around you, like, that it makes you think, and it makes you, and out of that is born this, the game of the power struggle. And the game of the power struggle leads to people being more easy to kill people and feel okay with it and justify it to themselves. The game of the power struggle leads to people being able to break their inner codes and whatnot for the greater good. Like, that's how they get us. But what I'm trying to say is that, like, the Neanderthals, the all modern humans came up and they were very friendly because all modern humans, like, compared to Neanderthal DNA, they were like less aggressive. Like their certain parts of their brains were smaller and bigger and blah blah blah. And think about this right now. You know, the only reason we know what different parts of the brain do what was from Nazi Germany experiments where they cut people's heads open and just poked around in their brain while they're awake, alive, conscious, like gaggling, crying, and blah blah. You know, they would start out not pushing very hard, you know, they just cut off a piece of the side of the skull and just tap. And that's where that experiment where you heard where the guy was having brain surgery and they touched the side of his head and he heard music came from. That actually happened in Nazi Germany. And they still teach it in fucking schools today, in history books, or science class, I think that's what it is. They still teach it in science class today about how touching the part of the brain and the guy hears music that he's heard before because the memory's stored there. Yeah, maybe that's programming. The reason they push that. Well, I guess all of education is programming. Because it doesn't matter if you give them the actual facts, if you lead them to the conclusion. See, that's what happens in schools. That's why I didn't do good in school. I mean, I did great in school. I would make A's. I mean, I could pass the test just fine. But I would always get sent to the office. Because I would talk. Because I would have a question. Because my questions would get other people to ask questions. And because I would ask a question, everybody would assume, the teacher would assume, like, oh, he's just asking this question to try to fuck with me. No. I was asking the question to get the answer. To try to understand the answer. And that's a big trend in my life I've noticed. It's almost like every time I do something in my life, people are always like, oh, you're doing this because of this, for this, or for that. And it's usually like 98% of the time, it's not even because of that. Like, you don't know. If you want to know, get in my mind with me. Think with me. Or think for yourself. I think that the all modern humans came up into the shit, and basically the evidence shows that, like, the men that and they trickled up slowly over time. It wasn't just like one time, like 2 of them came. Like, there was always some trickling up into Europe and whatnot. And there's like big piles of like male bones that they found, or like big graves, like type shit, where they was like buried like male all modern human bones that were like damaged and like looked like they were like, you know, they were killed. And the fucking oh gosh, I can't get to it now. That thought is right on the edge. Someone must be thinking about something else now. Fuck. Sorry, y'all. Lost the connection. I guess what I really want to say, actually, from Hans, I just want y'all to imagine a world where everything is not so logical and numbered and regulated. Like, they've trained you to believe that without the system, everything will go to hell. There will be anarchy. But, see, that's because they've trained you to believe that civilization, as we know it, is the system. But I think what I'm starting to realize is that civilization is the people living in the system. People are the people. I mean, we're people, no matter what. And so, it's not that if we decide to not have a system, it will be anarchy. It's that if we decide to not have a system, a new system will develop out of it naturally. Or the natural system will re-emerge. How to say? Like, you know, most people, everybody, I would say, I would wager a guess, knows what's right and wrong. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people of all spectrums. I've talked to people that have killed people. I've had people confess to murder to people. Well, not people, I've had one person. And, like, everybody knows what's wrong. Everybody's got that inside of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has got it. Everybody knows. But the logical system in courts and whatnot is what this system has used to keep all of us thinking that this is what this is and this is what this is. The real laws, they're written on your heart. The real laws are not to hurt people. You know what I'm saying? The real laws are to help people. The real laws are not to manipulate life, but to thrive in life. See, they're trying to manipulate the system just so that people can do better work. Like, this entire fucking machine of the fucking Nazi propaganda machine that is now running the whole world today, its entire goal is to make humanity the best machine that ever existed. The most efficient thing possible, and whatnot. And that's why I have fucking just about had it with all this shit. Like, everybody out here is the fucking same. And whether they say they're not, or not. Like, even all these people on YouTube, like, when I've trying to upload this album yesterday, and fucking tagging, and all these fucking things popping up, like, you gotta fucking do this, put in these code words.